Welcome back to the Diary on Air podcast. Of course, my name is Felice Olivia. And yeah, this is episode number 2 of the Diary on Air podcast. And I actually think that because it is 7:55 p.m. on Thursday, January 18th, I think this one's going to be the Diary on Air after dark. Just because it's after dark. And yeah, so welcome back to the podcast. Thank you for listening. I hope that the things that I discuss on my podcast are helpful, that they are enlightening, that they're entertaining, that they are, helping you to go deeper within yourself and to be more honest with yourself and to be more, um, you know, transparent with yourself and more open with yourself and all the things, child, all the things. Um, yeah, I hope it's inspirational and I hope that my podcast is engaging. And so, yeah, and here we are. So, this episode, I feel like I'm just, again, this is episode number 2. So, I'm just going to be talking. I don't really know how to do this, so I just assume that all you have to do is turn on the camera and start speaking in the mic. So that's what we're going to do. But this episode is going to be hopefully not too intense for me to get through. I definitely want to be able to have this conversation without getting all emotional. And it's very fresh, this topic, because I just kind of, experienced it today. And it was kind of an emotional day for me today. But I decided, this is the diary on air. So technically, if I wasn't putting it on air, I would be putting it in my journal, which I did journal this morning. But I also said, well, if this is why I created this podcast, I guess I got to do it. And so, yeah. So I am 34 years old, and I feel like, or I know that, I feel like at this point, all the things that I've gone through in life are really starting to make sense. And, you know, sometimes I feel like it made sense last year, but right now in this present moment, it really makes sense. Like I have a lot of clarity about who I am and what I'm going through and why I'm going through it and what happened. And, um, so as a 34-year-old, you know, I am at a space of maturing and understanding myself as a woman. And one of the things that I'm understanding about myself is OMG. Did I name the title of this podcast? But OMG, how insecure I am. Like, I have a lot of insecurities, and maybe, let me not say I have a lot of insecurities, but I have some pretty deep rooted insecurities. And it's not until now that I'm like, oh my gosh, like OMG, I'm insecure, you know? So maybe we'll name this podcast episode 2, Dear Diary, OMG, I'm insecure. So, baby, my God. I had a moment today where I was just like, I had a breakdown in the parking lot of Publix, and I was talking to God, and I'm like, okay, I don't want to be like this no more. Like, I'm just so tired of being this person, this version of myself where I'm so fragile and I'm so insecure, and I was just pretty overwhelmed emotionally. And I'm just like, I'm tired of being insecure. And I think that right now, I can say that I'm tired of being insecure, but maybe 2 or 3 years ago, I would be saying, like, I'm tired of feeling this way, or I'm tired of people treating me this way, or I'm tired of this happening to me. But I feel like last year in 33, in 2023, God exposed me to myself. Like, I feel like God ripped off so many layers of myself last year between therapy and fasting and praying. And, that was something that I wanted to do, though. Last year, I was pretty um, intentional about being connected to God more. And I feel like I had the intentions on connecting to God more and being more spiritual and stuff like that. But I feel like God met me. He met me at that point of my intention, and he did something totally different. Like, my intention was to go deeper with God, but I feel like God, not that we didn't go deeper, but I feel like he allowed me to go deeper within myself, because I've been a victim for so long, and not like, a victim of the things, um, but just a victim mindset. Like, I've always felt like things were happening to me, and people were treating me bad, and people did this and this happened to me, and everything is like, oh my God, like, I'm so oppressed, like, it's happening to me. But anyway, so I feel like God ripped the skin off my body. Like, he ripped me like wide open and just made me bare and raw, and just exposed me to myself. And it was pretty painful. It still is painful. But because of it, now I can look at myself and be like, OMG, I'm insecure. Like, I've experienced a lot of bitterness and anger and resentment and unforgiveness and all the things. And I remember one time last year I was doing my sister in Christ hair, and I said something. Oh, I think I was telling her that I fasted so much and I still feel like, I'm still in the same place or something. Spiritual fasting, you consecrate, don't eat, pray, fast, worship, spend time with God, and, go deeper spiritually. And I was telling her about the fasting, and I was like, yeah, I just don't feel like it's working or something. She was like, well, have you, it was a fasting and deliverance, so I've gone through deliverance and fasting, and I just feel like I'm still kind of dealing with some of the same things and going through the same cycles. And she was like, oh, well, have you done the inner healing? And I'm like, what? I didn't know what she was talking about. But, you know, on throughout the year last year, it became clear to me like, oh, I haven't done the inner healing. And so, but God again met me with my intention of going deeper with him spiritually. And then he just allowed me to go deeper within myself. And man, it's been so hard. This inner healing thing, it's so hard. But I feel like in the heart of it, you don't want to go back. Like, it's hard to look at myself and be like, you got some things you need to work on, baby. Okay. Like, and really, really work on them, and really, yeah, work on them. It's scary and it's hard, but it's like, I can't go back now. Like, there are certain things that I just can't go back to, certain thought processes that I can't go back to, certain feelings I can't go back to, certain people I can't go back to. Um, and it's not easy because it's like it's comfortable to go back. Like I want to be comfortable. So, so yeah. So today I had an experience. Get a little water. Mm, I think I lost my straw. But today I had, yeah, I lost my straw. That sucks. So today I had an experience that really, sorry about that, opened up my, or shined a light on my deep rooted insecurities. And so I'm going to try not to go into too much detail here. Like, I definitely want to be transparent and vulnerable on this podcast, but I also want to protect myself too, because I know that the internet will chop and screw your ass. Okay. And so basically, I've always been looking for love. I've always been on the search for love. I've always wanted a husband. I've been a hopeless romantic or a helpless romantic. You know, I've always chased after love and the idea of people. I've been very obsessive when it comes to romantic relationships and things like that. Um, and I've just, because of I've been very desperate, you know, for love. And because of that, I've connected myself to people. I've connected with people over the years that, you know, haven't been the best people for me. And maybe I wasn't the best person for them too. But I've connected with people and I've um, experienced a lot of hurt and rejection and abandonment and neglect and pain and all that because I put myself in those situations because I was so desperate for love. And I've allowed things to be said to me and done to me. I've allowed things to be said to me and done to me. And I've accepted those things because of my desperation. And I haven't been intimate sexually in over a year. I think November 2022. So, you know, I'm saving myself and, you know, you know, and just trying to keep it clean um, until I meet someone or till I meet my husband, and we don't have to go on all into that. But yeah, I just want to do it the right way this time, and I also just don't want to keep sharing my body with people who don't, you know, who don't align and who I don't belong to. Um, so anyway, so I've been heartbroken and all the things, and I have recently realized, like, you know, I'll take breaks. And I've been celibate or abstinent before, but I've never healed. I've never done the inner healing. And so I've been very wounded. And so it's like somebody, you know, if you cut yourself, let me not say that, God. If someone gets cut and they're cut over and over and over and over again, and they never go get bandaged and patched up or stitches or anything like that, they just go back out into the world, into the battlefield, and do it again. And so essentially, I just been going back out there and going back out there and going back out there because I've been so desperate for love. You know, I've been so empty and I don't want to say empty, but just desperate and just feeling needing this void filled, right? Um, and so I just been going back out there, and I've been very wounded, and the wounds are just getting deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. Um, and I'm trying to bring it together some way, somehow to get to what happened today. And I'm just like, oh my God, OMG. I'm so insecure. So the last person that I was intimate with, I had a lot of respect for this person. I put this person on a really high pedestal. My God, he was like the best thing ever. Like, girl, okay. And God had to break that on down for me, baby. God was like, okay, listen, it's about time for you to knock this man off on down off this pedestal you got him on. But anyway, so I had so much admiration and respect for this man, and you know, he was older than me by like 7 years. And so I just saw him as like a man, and just like he had his stuff together and all the things. And yeah, so he said to me one day, in my delusion, right? So delusional and so desperate. And I really wanted to be with him, and he kept trying to tell me like he didn't want to be with me in so many words. And then one day he said, well, why don't you be with well, maybe what you're looking for, he says to me, maybe what you're looking for is a 29-year-old. Maybe you should be with someone who's like 29. Mind you, I'm 34. And I'm thinking like, why would I be with someone who's like 5 years younger than me? You know? But I remember when I first met him and he said to me before, like, oh, I was wondering what this little girl was going to do. Like, he has always viewed me as a little girl, like young, maybe immature, and a lot of people who see me, they always say that I look so young. Like, people always think I'm in my 20s. Like, no. So anyway, because I had so much admiration and respect for this guy, for this man, when he said that to me, like I should be with somebody younger, and what's this little girl gonna do? It's like it made me feel like small. And because I was already wounded when I was dating him or talking to him or whatever, like that just kind of dug at a wound, that hasn't been healed, along with all the other insecurities. And so that has kind of stuck with me. And anyway, today, I haven't met this guy, but long story short, there's a guy who's like way older than me who could possibly be interested in me. And he reached out to me, and I got so anxious. Like, I just like kind of like went into a state of anxiety and panic, because in my mind, I'm like, oh my God, like this man is so much older than me. He has his stuff together. He's super established, and he's gonna like look at me like a little girl, and I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough, and I'm not good enough. And so today, you know, like I say, this is another guy, not the one I was talking about who said I should date someone who's 5 years younger, but this is a new guy. And not that I'm looking to date right now. I'm actually like trying to stay away from dating and all the things. And not that the new guy wants to date me or anything, but just the idea of connecting with a man right now, in relationship just freaks me out, because I am so wounded. And my goal for the year is to really, really, really heal this time, and to really do the work and stay out of the way. You know, I've always been so desperate for a relationship, and right now I'm just like, I don't want any parts of it. It freaks me out. Like, it freaks me out. I've never been so freaked out about being with a person in my life. Like, I've always wanted it. Like, I've always wanted it. Now I'm like, oh my God, like, keep it away from me because it scares me to death. So anyway, the guy, this older guy reached out to me earlier today, and I just went into a panic mode. And I'm just like, I'm not good enough. Like, what is he going to do with me? He probably doesn't like me. Like, I'm not good enough, I mean, because this man is established. Okay. And so, yeah. So I was like, let me go to the gym, honey. I had to go to the gym and get on that elliptical and burn some calories. I had to get my mind, in a better space. And then I talked to a friend girl. And, we were just talking about the insecurities that we deal with, and how like that guy could probably think the world of me, even though I'm much younger than him and not as established as him. He could see something in me that I don't, and, you know, insecurities are hard to deal with. Anyway, child, I don't know, but It's like, OMG, I'm insecure and I don't want to be this way anymore. I want to heal completely. And I was thinking, like, what does that look like? I definitely think that, again, staying away from romantic relationships for me right now is the best thing, because I feel like that's where a lot of my insecurities have come from, is my attempt to be loved by the male counterpart. Um, and ironically, my dad called me today. He hasn't called me since October of last year for my birthday, and I didn't talk to him, and I haven't been talking to my dad, but that's another topic. That's another, you know. And I haven't been talking to him, and so ironically, he called today, out of all the days where I was feeling insecure. Oh my God, I think that's a sign from God. I'm not gonna get emotional, but yeah. So for me, I think that inner healing is definitely gonna start with me not attempting to be in any kind of romantic relationship, and just I think doing things that I love. I think Pop. Julian wants to be patted, child. I don't know. I don't know how the inner healing will work, honestly. Maybe affirmations or something. I don't know. It's definitely a journey, but I know one thing that I must do is to be alone for a little while and not be desperate and chase, because what's for me will come to me. It always does. It always does. And it's always better than I expected. Um, and you know, and on a surface level, outwardly, like, I'm very beautiful. Like, I mean, come on, yes, girl. Like, I'm cute and all the things. I'm beautiful outwardly, and not that I'm not inwardly, um, but I gotta get those wounds closed up. Like, they have to be closed, and I have to know that I'm worthy. You know, I think it's like I want to know that I'm worthy, but I need to truly know it so that I can walk in that every day, you know. But definitely also to spending time with God, and not like going to God. I feel like I've gone to God a lot to ask him for stuff, and not really just to sit with him and be with him, and it's in a peaceful place. It's always like, oh God, can you? God, did you? God, will you? And it's like, God, thank you. Like, I need to be there. I need to be in God, thank you. And not that I'm not grateful, babe. Like, I'm always grateful, but just in a different way. I feel like I need to be grateful to God in a different way, in a receptive way. And not in a receptive way of what I want to receive, but in a receptive way of what God wants to give me. Because, it has been so hard for me to receive the love of God. It's been so hard because I just don't understand why. Like, side note, I'm a Christian. I believe in Jesus Christ. So, I got to get used to this camera heating up and shutting off. But anyway, I don't know where I really left off, and I guess that it'll have to be a part two. But I think that I was just saying that it's been hard for me to receive the love that God has been trying to give me for so long, because I don't understand how God could just continue to love somebody after all that they do. And so I think, again, I have to be a part two. But This was part one. OMG, I'm insecure. And I have to finish the inner healing work so that my wounds are closed up and so that I don't keep going out into the world bleeding on people and, bleeding. Okay. And just falling apart every which way. But yeah, so I'm just going to wrap it up here. And I just want to say thank you. I hope that this episode was helpful and enlightening and insightful. And I hope that it touches somebody and helps somebody to look at their deep rooted issues and say, oh my God, I'm insecure. OMG, I'm insecure. And, to start to doing the inner healing work like myself. And yeah, so this was episode 2 of The Diary on air. And I think this one is After Dark. So I thank you guys so much for tuning in. And I hope to have you as a subscriber on YouTube and a follower of the podcast. And yeah, share, like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you in the next one or talk to you on the next one. Bye.